Rain. The kind that falls without urgency, tracing slow rivers down the window glass, distorting the single lamp that burns in the courtyard below. Inside the cell, a man sits motionless. His name does not matter tonight. What matters is the envelope in his hands. Cream-colored, unsealed, the paper soft from being held too long. He has not opened it yet. Outside, the prison breathes its nocturnal rhythm, distant footsteps, the metallic whisper of keys. But here, in this 12-foot square of concrete and silence, time has stopped. The man is 71 years old. He has spent 50 of those years behind walls. And tonight, for reasons he cannot fully explain, he's afraid to read a letter from his son. The cell is sparse, a bed bolted to the floor, a small desk scarred with decades of anonymous carvings. On the wall, 3 drawings hang, charcoal sketches of birds rendered with surprising delicacy. The man's hands are large. They rest on his knees now, the envelope balanced between them like something fragile, something that might shatter if held too tightly. He thinks about hands, his father's hands, calloused from factory work, gentle when they touched his mother's face, strong when they lifted a young boy onto broad shoulders to see above the crowd at a summer fair. His own hands, what they have become, what they have done. He closes his eyes. A memory surfaces, unbidden, unwanted. He is 7 years old. December. Luton. Snow falls outside the kitchen window. His mother stands at the stove, stirring something that smells of warmth and safety. His father sits at the table, reading the evening paper, occasionally murmuring at headlines that mean nothing to a child. The boy, Michael he was called then, draws at the corner of the table. A house, a tree, a family standing in front, stick figures holding stick hands. "That's lovely, darling," his mother says, glancing over. "Is that us?" The boy nods, proud, complete. "You've given your father very long arms," she laughs. "So he can reach everything," the boy explains. "So he can keep us safe." His father looks up from the paper. Their eyes meet. Something passes between them, a covenant perhaps, a promise that neither fully understands. The father reaches out with those long arms and pulls his son close. "Always," he whispers into the boy's hair, "I'll always keep you safe." The memory dissolves. The old man opens his eyes. The cell reassembles itself around him, concrete, metal, the endless hum of institutional existence. He looks at the envelope again, his son's handwriting on the front, careful letters, the penmanship of a man who takes time with things, who does not rush. So different from his own scrawl, urgent, impatient, the writing of a man who spent decades believing that stillness was weakness. There's a photograph tucked into the frame of the metal mirror, edges worn soft from years of handling. A woman with silver hair and kind eyes, his mother. She passed 4 years ago, in her sleep. Peaceful, they said. He was not there. He has not been there for any of it. The birthdays, the Christmases, the ordinary Tuesdays that make up a life. The 1,000 small moments that accumulate into meaning. He was not there when his son took his first steps. He was not there when his son spoke his first words. He was not there when his son asked, as all children eventually ask, "Where is my father?" What answer was given? He does not know. He has never had the courage to ask. Perhaps the letter tells him. Perhaps that is why he cannot open it. Another memory, this one closer, sharper. 1988. A visiting room painted the color of forgotten hopes, plastic chairs, a table bolted to the floor. His mother sits across from him. She has aged since his last visit, more gray in her hair, deeper lines around her eyes, but her hands, when they reach across the table to touch his, are still warm. "There's something I need to tell you," she says. Her voice is steady, but he knows her well enough to hear the tremor beneath. He waits. "You have a son, Michael." The words do not make sense at first. They hang in the air like foreign objects, refusing to arrange themselves into meaning. "His name is Michael, too," she continues. "After you, your real name." He stares at her. The visiting room seems to contract, the walls pressing inward. His chest tightens. His breath comes shallow and quick. A son. "He's 14 now. He knows about you. He's seen the papers." 14 years. 14 years of absence, 14 years of being a headline instead of a father, 14 years of existing only as a story other children whispered in schoolyards. "Why?" The word comes out broken. "Why didn't you tell me?" His mother's eyes fill with tears. We thought it was kinder. We thought, she stops, composes herself. We were wrong. I know that now. I'm sorry. He wants to rage, to overturn the table, to scream at the walls, to make the world feel the fracture that has just opened inside him. But instead, he does something he has not done in years. He weeps. His mother holds his hands across the table while the guards watch, uncertain. And in that moment, something shifts inside him. A door opens. A question forms that will take decades to answer. Who am I, if not the man I have become? The old man touches the photograph, his mother's face, her kind eyes. I'm trying, he whispers to her. I'm still trying. The lamp in the courtyard casts a pale circle on the wet stones. He watches a moth circle it, persistent, desperate, drawn to light it cannot possess. He has been that moth, circling something unreachable, burning years against invisible barriers. But what was the light? What was he trying to reach? He's not sure anymore. Perhaps he never knew. The envelope waits. His son is 49 years old now, a man with his own life, his own family, his own understanding of the world. They have rebuilt something over the years, not a normal relationship, nothing so complete, but something. Letters, phone calls, visits through glass, and later, when trust was earned, across tables in supervised rooms. But this letter is different. He knows because of how it arrived, hand-delivered by the chaplain, not through the usual post. The chaplain's face had been careful, neutral, the expression of a man who has learned to carry other people's burdens without comment. From your son, the chaplain said. He asked me to give it to you personally. That was 6 hours ago. 6 hours of holding the envelope, 6 hours of approaching the moment and retreating from it, 6 hours of circling the truth like a man walking the perimeter of his own fear. What is he afraid of? He examines the question the way he might examine one of his drawings, searching for the lines beneath the surface, the structure that holds the image together. He is afraid of judgment, that the letter contains a final verdict on the man he has been, the father he failed to be. He is afraid of forgiveness, that his son has found a way to absolve him, and that absolution will be more painful than condemnation. He is afraid of love, that the letter speaks of love, and he will not know how to hold it, will not know how to be worthy of it. He is afraid most of all of the mirror the letter might become. Reflecting back, not Charles Bronson, the name he chose, the armor he built, but Michael Peterson, the boy who drew pictures at a kitchen table, the son who believed his father's arms could reach everything. A memory, the sharpest one, the one he visits least often. 1974. A courtroom. He stands before the judge, 22 years old, foolish, angry, convinced that the world owes him something and that he has the right to take it. The judge speaks. 7 years. He laughs. A wild, performative sound. The laugh of a young man who does not yet understand that some doors, once closed, never fully open again. In the gallery, his mother weeps. His father sits beside her, face carved from stone. Their eyes meet, his and his father's, across the courtroom. And in his father's gaze, he sees something he has never forgotten. Not anger, not disappointment. Grief. The grief of a man watching his son choose a path that leads only into darkness. The grief of a father whose arms, despite all their length, cannot reach far enough to pull his boy back from the edge. The guards lead him away. The last thing he sees is his father's hand on his mother's shoulder. The last thing he hears is his mother's quiet sob. He did not know it then, but that was the last time his father would look at him without bars between them. His father died 3 years later. Heart attack, quick. His son was not there. He has not been there for any of it. The old man picks up the envelope, turns it over. His son's handwriting on the front. His own name. His real name. Written with care. Michael Peterson. When did he last think of himself by that name? When did he last feel like the boy who drew at kitchen tables, who believed in the reach of his father's arms? He has been so many things. A son, a criminal, a prisoner, a headline, a monster according to some, a symbol according to others. But tonight, in this cell, with the rain falling and the letter waiting, he is none of those things. Tonight, He's simply a man who's afraid. He thinks about his son, Michael, named after him, or rather, named after the person he used to be. What does his son see when he looks at him? The newspaper photographs, the shaved head, the thick mustache, the eyes that learned long ago to show nothing? Or something else, something softer, something hidden, something that only a son might recognize in a father's face? He remembers the first visit, 2001. His son was 27 years old. They had never met. The visiting room, the plastic chairs, the weight of 3 decades pressing down on both of them. His son had spoken first. "You're smaller than I thought you'd be." And he had laughed, a real laugh, not the performance he had perfected over the years, but something genuine, something surprised out of him. "Everyone says that," he replied. They talked for an hour. Careful words, tentative questions, 2 strangers trying to find the shape of something that should have been natural, but had to be built from nothing. At the end, his son said, "I don't know if I can forgive you. I don't know if I want to, but I need to understand. That's why I came." And he had nodded, because understanding was more than he deserved, because his son's presence, his willingness to sit across from a man he had every right to hate, was a gift beyond measure. "I'll try to help you understand," he said. "I'll try." 13 years of trying. Letters, calls, visits, slow, patient reconstruction of something that was never properly built in the first place. And now, this envelope. There is pride in that thought, and grief, the 2 emotions tangled together, inseparable. A church bell sounds in the distance, 3 chimes, a reminder that the world continues beyond these stones. He wonders what his son was doing when he wrote this letter. Was it evening? Morning? Was there music playing, coffee brewing, the ordinary sounds of a home filled with life? He cannot imagine it. The domesticity of freedom, the small rituals that free people take for granted, choosing what to eat, when to sleep, where to walk, 50 years, half a century of having every decision made for him. And yet, sitting here tonight, he feels something he has not felt in decades. Stillness, not the enforced stillness of confinement, something else, something chosen, as if, for the first time in 50 years, he is exactly where he needs to be. In the glass, he sees his own reflection, faint, ghostly, an old man looking back at him with eyes that hold too many years. "Who are you?" The question has haunted him for half a century. He has tried on identities like costumes, Michael Peterson, Charles Bronson, Charlie Salvador, searching for one that fit, one that made sense of the wreckage. But names are just sounds, labels we attach to the mystery of ourselves. Beneath the names, something else exists, something that does not change no matter how many walls we build around it. He has spent 50 years building walls. Perhaps it is time to let one fall. His hands are steady now. The fear is still there. It will always be there. But something else has joined it, something that feels almost like courage. He thinks of his mother, her faith in him. Even at the end, even after everything, she believed there was goodness buried inside him, that the boy who drew at kitchen tables still existed somewhere, waiting to be found. He thinks of his father, the grief in his eyes, the unspoken question that followed his son into the darkness. Why? He thinks of his own son, the years of absence, the patient letters, the willingness to reach across an impossible distance and offer something that was not quite forgiveness, but was perhaps its beginning. He picks up the envelope. His fingers slide beneath the flap. The paper whispers as it opens. Inside, a single sheet, his son's careful handwriting filling the page. He begins to read. "Dad, I want to tell you something I've never said properly. Not in visits, not on the phone, not in any of the letters we've exchanged over the years. I want to tell you that I forgive you. Not because you deserve it. Maybe you don't. Maybe none of us deserve forgiveness. We just need it. I spent most of my life angry at you. Angry at the father who wasn't there. Angry at the name I had to carry, the questions I had to answer, the shadow that followed me everywhere I went. But anger gets heavy, Dad. After a while, it's not a weapon anymore. It's just a weight. And I got tired of carrying it. I've been thinking about what you said in our first visit, that you don't know who you are anymore. That Charles Bronson was a mask and you've worn it so long you've forgotten what's underneath. I think I know what's underneath. I think underneath is a man who got lost, a man who made terrible choices and lived with terrible consequences, a man who hurt people, including himself, but also a man who kept drawing, who filled notebooks with birds and flowers and faces, a man who wrote poems in the dark, a man who, when his son finally came to see him, wept. That's not a monster, Dad. That's a human being. I have a daughter now, Emma. She's 3 years old. She has your mother's eyes. I've told her about you. Not everything, she's too young. But I've told her that her grandfather is a man who made mistakes and who is trying very hard to be better. I've told her that people can change, that it's never too late to become someone different. I want her to meet you someday. I want her to know that forgiveness is possible, that love doesn't give up, even when it has every reason to. I don't know what happens next. I don't know if you'll ever leave that place, but I know this. You are my father. Nothing changes that. And I love you. Michael. The letter rests on the desk. The words blur and clarify as the old man's eyes fill with tears he does not try to hide. A granddaughter. Emma. She has his mother's eyes. He sits in the silence of his cell and lets the knowledge settle into him, the weight of it, the grace of it. A new life, connected to his by blood and name and the mysterious persistence of family. Outside, the rain has stopped. The first gray light of dawn touches the horizon. The prison begins to stir. Distant sounds of doors opening, routines resuming, another day beginning. But here, in this cell, time remains suspended. The old man picks up the letter, reads it again, then a third time. Each word a stone dropped into still water, ripples spreading outward to the edges of his understanding. Forgiveness. He has spent 50 years believing he was beyond it, that the things he had done, the harm, the waste, the endless squandering of years, had placed him outside the circle of grace. But his son has reached across that distance, has offered something unearned, undeserved, impossible, and all he has to do is accept it. He remembers something his mother told him once, years ago, one of her last visits before the illness took her. Guilt is a room without windows, she said. You can furnish it however you like, make it as comfortable as possible, but you'll still be living in the dark. Forgiveness. Forgiveness is the door, not an escape from what you've done, but a way to let light in. He did not understand then. The words seemed too simple for the weight he carried. But tonight, in this cell, with his son's letter in his hands, he begins to see. The door has always been there. He simply refused to open it. He takes a piece of paper from his desk, a pencil, worn soft from use. He begins to write. Dear Michael, thank you. I don't know how to say what your letter means to me. I've never been good with words. Not the kind that matter anyway. But I want you to know that I read it, every word, and I will read it again tomorrow and the day after that until the paper falls apart in my hands. You asked me once who I am underneath. I think I'm starting to find out. I'm a man who got lost. You're right about that. But I'm also a man who is trying to find his way home. I don't know if I'll ever leave this place. The walls have been part of me for so long, I'm not sure I'd know how to exist without them. But when I close my eyes now, I don't see concrete. I see a kitchen table in December, snow falling outside, a boy drawing pictures while his mother cooks and his father reads the paper. I see your grandmother's face, your grandfather's hands. I see you sitting across from me in a visiting room, brave enough to meet a stranger who should have been a father. And now I see Emma, a little girl I've never met, with eyes that carry something of all of us forward into a future I'll never touch. That's enough. That's more than enough. Tell her about me. Tell her the truth, the good and the bad. Tell her that people are complicated, that love is complicated, that forgiveness is the hardest and most important thing we ever do. And tell her that her grandfather, sitting in a cell at the edge of night, is thinking of her. With all my love, Dad. The dawn breaks slowly over the prison, gray becoming gold, shadows retreating into corners, the world waking to another day. In cell 14, an old man folds his letter and places it in an envelope. He writes his son's name on the front, careful letters, taking his time. On the wall, the charcoal birds seem almost to stir in the new light, wings pressed against invisible bars, beaks open in songs no one can hear. But if you look closely, If you look the way an artist looks, searching for the truth beneath the surface, you might notice something different about those birds. The cage doors are open. They have always been open. It just took 71 years to see. The old man sets down his pencil. He looks at the photograph of his mother, at the drawings on the wall, at the letter waiting to be sent. Outside, a guard's footsteps approach. The day begins. The routines resume. The walls remain. But something has changed, something small and quiet and irreversible. A man who was lost has found his way home, not to a place, to himself. He folds the letter he has written, holds it for a moment. The paper is warm from his hands. Through the window, the first birds begin to sing, tentative melodies, testing the new day. He thinks of his drawings, the birds with open cages. He never consciously chose that image. It simply appeared over and over, as if his hand knew something his mind refused to acknowledge. We draw what we cannot say. We write what we cannot speak. And sometimes, if we are lucky, someone reads the silence between the words and understands. His son understood. After all these years, after all the distance, his son looked at the man behind the headlines and saw something worth saving. That is the miracle. Not that forgiveness was offered, but that it was accepted. Fade out. The rain begins again, soft, patient, the kind that washes everything clean. End. We are all prisoners of our own making, but the doors were never locked from the outside.